Welcome to the Marketing Millennials, the No BS Marketing Podcast. I'm Daniel Murray, and join me for unfiltered conversations with the brains behind marketing's coolest companies. The one request I tell our guests, stories or it didn't happen. Get ready to turn the up. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Millennials podcast. Today, we're diving into the behind the scenes of building a YouTube channel from scratch with Avi, the CMO of Luxury Bazaar, the world's premier destination for luxury watches and jewelry. We're breaking down how to start a YouTube channel when you have 0 subscribers, why constraints are actually the best marketing tool, how to come up with endless video ideas that keep people watching. If you ever thought about using YouTube to grow your brand, this episode is packed with insights you don't want to miss. So let's get into the episode. What's up? Welcome, Avi, to the Marketing Millennials.
What's going on, Daniel? Big fan.
I'm excited to chat because you have done something really interesting with YouTube. And I want to start with why YouTube? Why are you doubling down on it? What are your thoughts on YouTube?
So yeah, we were kind of without options. We are in an industry that deals with high-end products where the brands are very, very, careful with how their brands are being used. We are considered a gray market watch dealer, which is not authorized by brands such as Rolex, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe. They have their own authorized dealers and boutiques. We buy and sell on a secondary market. So it sounds shady, but it's not. There's, for example, if you want to get a Rolex and you're going to a Rolex boutique up to 3, 4, 5, even 10 years to get the model that you want. If you want to get it instantly, you go to the secondary market, which is us. Now, obviously, you're going to have to pay more for it because we pay more for it, but we have it all available. So the problem that we had with the traditional marketing methods, which are, running Meta ads, running Google ads, was that their attorneys kept sending us cease and desists on simply, just running retargeting ads. Like if you came to our website and you looked at a Rolex and then we show you that same Rolex on Facebook or Instagram next time you're on there, that was a problem for them. And they, said that we can't use their brand that way, even though we're just showing them a product, not mentioning the name or anything else with that. So our Meta account has been banned for probably about 4 years. Google, our most successful campaigns have always been name recognition campaigns, just people, Googling us, searching for us, or just Google shopping, which doesn't have a trademark issue. But without the options, without being able to get people to learn about us or see who we are, or, browse our website, we were left with, what can we do that's kind of organic? What can we do that won't violate any trademark issues? And with that, we had 2 ideas in mind. One of them was YouTube, obviously, because, YouTube 4 or 5, 6 years ago was really, really, getting up there as far as a competitor to paid marketing. And I'm talking about the organic YouTube stuff. And SEO was our second option. So I'll talk about that separately. But YouTube at the time, the industry was getting a lot of attention. This is pre-COVID. COVID took it to a whole new level, but people were getting a whole lot of interest in buying and selling luxury watches just because you could buy it today for $10,000 and sell it tomorrow for $12,000 and quickly make a profit. So we started a show that my whole concept was, if you're a fan of $1 million listings, which I was at the time, was to create $1 million listings for our business. Who are the people buying, 6-figure watches? What do they do? What does their house look like? What does their life look like? We started producing a show like that, and we hit a brick wall because most of these customers don't want to show themselves. They're, very private individuals. They don't want to, show their wealth to the world. So we said, okay, what can we do that others haven't? And that was kind of going behind the scenes, showing what we do, how we run this company, our salespeople, our growth, our problems, our drama. I mean, it's funny, like the episodes that get millions of views are typically the ones where, you have some sort of drama, like, a six-figure FedEx package has been lost, or a customer who owes us $300,000 is not picking up the phone. Somebody used a fraudulent check to purchase a watch from us. All these things are really the ones that are getting the most attention. But the show, which has been running for probably about 3 years now, is just every day what we go through, how the business operates. It's our path, to growing our company and becoming, a major player, which, to be honest, that YouTube exposure has achieved. I mean, it's opened up doors that we could not open with any paid advertising in the past. I mean, we have meetings with manufacturers. We're getting invites to the biggest watch shows in the world. Our entire staff is recognized, when they walk around in the streets. Like, we made celebrities out of watch dealers, which was never a thing. And I didn't realize how small, but how enthusiastic the watch collecting world is. I mean, to the point where I'm the producer of the show. I've been on the show maybe a few episodes, kind of like in passing. I was recently at Fort Lauderdale Airport with my family flying back, and a police officer stopped me and was like, "Hey, are you on TV?" I said, "No, I'm not on TV." It's like, "You're on something." I said, "Maybe YouTube." He's like, "There, that's what it is. You're on the Watch channel." I'm like, "Wow, I can't believe that this guy recognized me." It felt amazing because my kids are right next to me, like a celebrity in their eyes. But that was, the path that we took, and it's ever changing. Every day we have to come up with what do we want to do? Do we want to do something like crazy dramatic, that will get the views, or do we want to do something that's a lot more serious that will, gain the right sort of viewers? And it's constantly a balance between, more views and the right views. And that's our struggle day in, day out.
Well, I think the first thing I'd like to say is constraints are probably the best marketing tool that people don't realize. When you have big budgets, it's hard to, oh, you could invest in YouTube, you can invest in Meta, but if you can't go on Meta, you can't go in other channels that are restricting you. You have these constraints and do creative marketing things, which YouTube is creative. I also love that the channel does a good job of mixing news and behind the scenes. So you're also sharing your expertise that you understand the industry, not only understand watches. And I think you hit it at the right time too, because you started right when the uptick. Because I remember, even on TikTok for me, I get fed all those New York watch
Mm-hmm. The
slingers, and
negotiations.
yeah, they go behind the scenes, and you don't really see the clients like you said because they are private. But
Yeah.
like somebody wants to watch this watch, and they do this, and it's the drama. Are they going to make the deal or not make the deal? And I think it's good, and you guys do a really good job of doing
Yeah,
that.
we try to split the content between two different channels. So we have our company channel, which is Luxury Bazaar. That's, we try to do more of the educational stuff there. And then we have the Gray Market series, which is the Roman Shark channel. Roman is the founder of the company. And I always believe that people follow personalities, not brands. So I chose to do it on his channel. And that's, it grew his channel from, I think we were struggling at somewhere around like 30,000 subscribers to now we're at 475,000. Videos, some videos have gotten millions of views, but ultimately, what we realized is that, everybody kept making fun of it. When I first said, let's go all in on YouTube, there are some other partners in the company. They're like, oh, Roman just wants to be a star. Like, this is all just a waste of money. Cameras everywhere. We hired a whole team, like a whole production. We built studios in our offices. They said it's just a complete waste of money. A year into it, they're like, wow, okay, that was not a waste of money. The amount of clients, the amount of awareness that we generated was finally like quantifiable. And like they were able to see that like, okay, YouTube is responsible for the growth of the company, the growth of revenues. And along with that, obviously, we did a whole bunch of social, like Instagram, TikTok, everything else that you could think of.
I want to go into that mentality of the rise of the personal brand and the institution, because obviously you could see if you go on your YouTube, Roman, 477K subscribers, Luxury Bazaar, 77K, which are still impressive numbers for a company profile. But when did you see that flip? Because obviously like the trust in institutions have been going down for a while, but now people are hitting it. But you hit it right before the climb of like this TikTok and YouTube shorts and all that good stuff. So what sparked that in your mind?
I mean, I just kind of like, I try to be, empathetic to like our customer, like who is it and what are they interested in? And I mean, just think about anybody else, like, a brand, you kind of assume that whatever they're putting out there is meant to sell you on something. Whereas a personality, it's more their opinion, their expertise. And I wanted to position Roman as a thought leader in the industry, and his opinion, his expertise. I mean, he's been doing this for over 20 years. It actually has value. Like people care for it. I mean, he has a. I'm not sure if you're familiar with. There's a company called Minect. It's like pay for text messages, or to have a conversation with somebody, like whether it's, I don't know, a celebrity or an expert or something. He has an account on there, and people pay him just to ask his opinion. Like, hey, do you think this is a good watch for me? So using him as an expert and as a thought leader, I said, okay, we're going to create this content under his brand, because making the company a thing is going to be way more difficult than making Roman a thing. And to me, it didn't really matter if people are searching for Roman or searching for Luxury Bazaar, because they're one and the same. And it turned out that, like, again, my belief in personalities being bigger than brands was on point. And when we hit that, like, you kind of saw that all over TikTok and all over Instagram. Influencers were becoming a thing, creators was becoming a thing, and brands were just kind of trying, and they still are. Some brands do it better than others. They integrate humor. They're able to make fun of themselves. Those are the brands that you follow because they're entertaining. But otherwise, you're very limited in what kind of, like, the brands that you actually follow. You're mostly, if you take a look at, who you follow on social, it's people. And we were trying to create something that, connects people, just one-to-one type of connection.
I want to go into the operational side of this. So if I was a company today and I wanted to start on YouTube, what are the first 3 steps or 4 steps I should take to do that?
So today, I don't know if it's easier or harder, but I think with how YouTube Shorts has taken off, for example, my hobby is launching brands. That's, I realize that's what I do for fun. So I recently, launched like a little men's grooming brand on the side. The first thing I did was just create shorts. Shorts will start to, I guess, whether it's, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it'll warm up the account. It'll give you time, like you could put out videos, see what works, see what doesn't, what type of content, hits and what doesn't. So I just started by putting out shorts, which is what I would recommend to everybody. And then I would think, what do I do that people don't actually have access to? I kind of, it's funny because a lot of my buddies have been like asking me like, hey, what should I do? And I'm almost applying that whole behind the scenes thing to any business in any industry. Like, oh, you're a mortgage broker? Why don't you just show people how you go through like deals, how you qualify people? Oh, you're a realtor? Show them your daily, like, day-to-day life. Like, what is it that you do? People think that realtors just open up doors and flip light switches. Show them, that it is, more difficult, or maybe that it's not, that it really is that easy, that's all you do. But give people like a fly on the wall type of preview of, like, your business, the behind the scenes of it. I think that applies to almost every industry. So what I would do is I would start with just shorts, something either educational or something entertaining. There was recently, I don't remember her name, but there was a girl that started TikToks. She works at a car dealership, and her stuff went viral. She like did almost like the office type of setup for the dealership. I think the first episode she put little ducks everywhere, and she kept recording people saying like, what are these ducks? Like, who keeps putting ducks everywhere? And like, it was nothing crazy, but it performed so well that she said, okay, I'm going to continue doing this. So I think it's just, if you do something that is, I don't know if you would say special, but if you do something that requires expertise or knowledge, then the first thing I would recommend is start with short form content about educating your viewers about what you do or how you do it or how they can do it better. Or, let's say, I don't know, give me a job, give me a business, throw a business out there.
Let's just go with plumbing.
Okay. Plumbing is probably one of the easiest ones. Now, you would think that you don't want to teach people how to do what you do because that would be silly. They would do it themselves. I Google stuff on how to, I had I wanted to install a water filter for my Instant Hot in my kitchen. I ordered it from Amazon. I got it. I was like, okay, this is super easy. Let me watch the YouTube videos. I saw the videos. I got under the sink and I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm going to try to do this and possibly cause a flood or a leak in my kitchen. I'm going to call a plumber. So showing videos on how to actually do things, although again, a lot of people think well, why would I teach people? Because teaching people makes you the thought leader, makes you, the industry expert. And to do it on a local level is even more powerful because you become I'm based outside of Philadelphia. So if I would see somebody hey, this is Philadelphia's best plumber, then that's the guy I'm calling. I recently, if you're familiar with Philly, and a lot of people are with the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, cheesesteaks are that's our food here. So I saw maybe about a year ago, I saw a reel on Instagram, or it might've been on TikTok. Philadelphia's number one cheesesteak is from these guys you never heard of. I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, I know these guys. They're around the corner from my office. I'm going to try their cheesesteak. It was delicious. I can't say it was the best one, but the claim that they have the best cheesesteak that nobody's ever heard of, could be completely false, but it got me as a customer. And I've actually been a customer of theirs for the last year just because of that one simple reel. So as a plumber, I would obviously concentrate on local stuff, but I would show people, here's what happens when, it gets cold and your pipes freeze. Here is what to do when your hot water is not, working, or your hot water heater is not lit. Here's how to relight it. Why you should install a whole house water filter. Things that people are constantly thinking about or even researching. If you are there, and we all know that, our phones listen to us, everything that you say. So if you are just, talking to your wife about I think we should have a hot water filter, installed in the house, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to get some content about that, in the next few minutes. So you want to be that piece of content that is out there. And whether organic or paid, I think, that's the way to go. Just pump out as much content as you can about what you do, what your typical, client is asking for, what the typical service is, how much it typically costs. These are things that people are interested in.
Okay, one serious question before I ask you the next question is, what is the best Philly's cheesesteak in Philadelphia?
You know what? I can't tell you that. Everybody will go to Geno's or Pat's, the most marketed ones. I don't agree. I mean, we have Steve's Prince of Steaks, which is it's not as big as, Pat's or Geno's, but that if you survey people from Northeast Philly, they will say that it's Steve's. Me recently, again, it's that one reel. It's Berardi Brothers. I mean, one reel changed my entire cheesesteak life.
I want to also go into, what does the YouTube team look like? So we talked about what you would do at the beginning if you didn't have much resources or you're just getting started, but what does a full-blown YouTube production look like?
A full-blown one, which took us, a while to get up to. When we first started, we had one videographer and everybody kept, delaying, no, we need to hire a camera guy. We need to hire a sound guy. I said, no, you need to turn the camera on. Turn the camera on, start recording. This episode goes live next Monday. And that actually is what happened. And after that, we had to hire more people because we wanted to put out an episode every Monday, and to shoot for 3-4 days and then edit for 2 more days required a bigger team. So right now, I mean, to get all the content that we pump out, which is quite a bit, both YouTube and social, we have, let me think. I mean, I guess we have 3 full-time videographers, one of which is, outside the office, 2 full-time in the office. And we used to use an outside studio as well that helped us if we ever needed additional, people or something specific. So right now it's really just 3 full-time videographers that both, shoot and edit all of our content for both YouTube and social.
And what does it look like, the brainstorming process of, hey, I want to do a new series or a new type of video? I could tell already you watch a lot of content and get a lot of ideas from other content
Yes,
and try to make it for your city.
absolutely.
But what is that brainstorming process
I
like?
mean, the easiest one is obviously to steal what already works. Just do it in your own way with your own flavors. My thing is, I reverted back. So recently, I'm launching a new series here, and the way we came about this one was like, okay, first time we launched a series, we based it off something that I personally liked, which was $1 million listings. Said, okay, what is another series that people really, like? Let me ask you, what's a series that's been on the air for quite a bit of time, has a lot of successful entrepreneurs on, and everybody loves it?
Probably Shark Tank.
There you go. You got it. First hit. I mean, it's very simple. I said, okay, I love Shark Tank too. And I was like, well, the founder of this company, his name is Roman Sharf. Sharf is like shark, similar. What if I do Shark Tank? And I was like, okay, how do I structure that? And it's funny, like last week I was in New York scouting studios. We're actually launching a new series. I changed the name from Shark Tank to Watch Sharks, just because I thought, like, if somebody comes in, what are they going to say? Hello, Sharfs. That would only work if like Roman Sharf's family was on the panel. So we're doing a series where somebody comes in to sell a watch to a panel of 5 expert watch dealers from all sorts of different areas, and they are going to bid against each other, try to steal the deal, whether partner up on a deal, offer different terms, make fun of each other, argue, fight, whatever, the same sort of stuff you see on Shark Tank. We're going to launch that for our industry. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if people will love it. I think it's a cool concept. We have some really entertaining, panelists. So what I decided to do was like, okay, let's start it in New York. It's, about an hour and a half away from us. Some of the most recognizable watch dealers are based in New York. And also they happen to have a huge social following. So we took a couple of those that have really, charismatic personalities and really big followings. We put them together. They specialize in certain products. Then we took some other people that specialize in other products. And we're going to start putting this together. I mean, I'm creating a whole campaign to get people to register to be on the show. I'm wondering if we're going to run into the same issue where, I want to sell my watch, but I don't want to be, out in public. I don't want people to know. I don't know if that's going to be an issue because people walk all over 47th Street all day long selling their watches, but we're going to test it out. The typical brainstorming session is, let's look at what content is performing both in the written word, video, social, like what is trending and how can we convert that into whether a long form video or some sort of a series. We try to like reuse all of our content. So our SEO solution was to launch a whole magazine, like an entire online based magazine for watch collectors and enthusiasts. So we use that as inspiration for a lot of our video content. If an article does really well, if you think about it, like who reads these days? But if, a lot of people are spending time reading some of our articles, that probably indicates that a lot more people will watch it, because as we know, people have a low attention span and they prefer to watch things rather than read. So lately I've been converting a lot of our highest performing articles into videos. But it's been, we had a lull where I could not come up with a new concept for over a year. I mean, we tried a couple of different ones and they tanked. We did kind of like watch collector stories where we sat down with a collector, went through all their watches, what each watch means to them. Does it have sentimental value? Like, when do they purchase it? I thought it was a great concept. Like, I thought people would really, really like it. And after a couple episodes, we realized people are not into it. They're more into like the drama of the watch world. Like they want to see somebody lose money. They want to see somebody get screwed. They're not into like just, watching I guess, people's collections. And the way I got that was, I think Ryan Serhant had I think it was him, where it was like, welcome to my house, where somebody gave you a tour of their home. So I wanted to do that with watch collections, and that flopped. We had a little trial called Watch Wars, where we took two different watch models with two different people, and we battled which one do you think is better and why. Didn't do so well. We did like watches and whiskey, where we just, we had the host drink throughout the episode and talk about watches and whiskey. And it got better like at the end because they were already kind of like drunk. But that also had its lifespan. So things are kind of, from day one that you launch a new series, there's already, an expiration date. Like it's going to die at some point. And I've been thinking that same thing about gray market for a while. Like I was like, gray market has been on a downtrend. Like there's no way. So what we realized, or what we decided to do recently is to not put it out all the time. Instead of just putting out an episode a week, we decided to put out an episode where we have really good content. Because if you think about it, it's it's like a reality show. If there's nothing going on that's interesting or dramatic, you still have to put out an episode, but that episode doesn't perform as well. So we said, okay, let's, rip the Band-Aid, not put out an episode every week, and just put out ones where we really have good stories, good, situations. We're still recording, we're still doing things, but we're contemplating doing like almost like a Netflix style situation where we record 10 episodes, we edit them, we really put the whole storyline together, and we release them, months from now when it's all done, rather than once a week.
What is your bar for what is flopping? Like what are metrics you're looking at, and when is the time you cut the cord and say, hey, we need to stop this series, we need to pivot somewhere else? What does that look like?
Unfortunately, the only metric that really has any say here is views. And it's funny because, again, like I said earlier, my balance of views to quality viewers, like which one's more important? Well, to me, they're both important. Think about it. Like if a video only got 5,000 views, but these are high net worth individuals that are interested in your content, that will come to you to purchase a watch, versus, 1 million views, of which 60% are 14-year-old kids that are far from buying a watch at any time soon. I mean, what's the definition of something going viral? Something going viral is everybody sees it, and the majority of those people are not your ideal customer. So in my mind, or at least in practice here, we use views as a metric, but the way we want to see whether something performs is if it grows rather than declines. So if I put out a new series and the first episode only got 5,000 views, but then the second episode got 6,000 views, I'm like, okay, as long as there's like an uptrend, I give it a chance. If I see from, right off the bat that, people gave it a try the first time, liked it less the second time, liked it even less the third time, I'm like, okay, this is clearly, maybe we need to pivot, maybe we need to change something, and we will try that as well. But usually I'm like, okay, this concept is not working. Let's put it to rest and try something new.
No, I think that's the quality of views is such a good point, because I follow, and you probably follow him too because you're in the luxury space, but the Stad guy, and
I love him.
Yeah, he has the best, but he has the luxury audience that
Yes.
He has 1 million followers, and he could have 15 million, but they're all really wealthy individuals that like Laura Piana, like Audemars PJ, like all these luxury brands. So it's his quality of views are way better than someone who
Absolutely
is doing something different.
And you know what he has? What he has that is really hard to replicate is he has the personality. Like he has, like, so for example, there's another YouTuber in the watch space, Nico Leonard. I think he's from the Netherlands, but he's based in Ireland. And he has this like comedian's like, charisma and personality, and like you're entertained by him. You could talk about anything and be funny. You're just, he's captivating. It's hard to find that. You need almost like a paid actor. If you don't have that, like I'm not that sort of guy. I can't be, this funny and over the top, like, type of personality. You kind of have to work with what you have. And unfortunately, we don't have somebody like that that also happens to be a watch expert. If we did, then we might be able to replicate what the Stadt guy, has done, because he has that, really entertaining personality. And he also knows what he's talking about. But it's funny, like I recently saw something where, it was like, why did you like choose to do this whole Stadt, I don't even know how to pronounce it, thing. He's like, well, it's like, nobody really knows anything about it. He's like, but it's a very wealthy, like, only the wealthy go there. And like, I just thought like that could be like really cool. And like, he doesn't sound like that. And like normally, he doesn't talk like that. But when he does that whole, act, it works because he also like introduces you to like his Laura Piana outfit, like he dresses really well. And like, you kind of want to like copy his stuff. The watches, the colognes, like the travel, all that stuff he does really, really hits with that demographic. And he's done a very good job. Yeah, you're right. He could have many more millions of followers if, 15-year-old kids knew what the hell he was talking about. They have no idea.
He also, I saw a video, he starts off the video in French, so people who don't think it's not that don't understand French, they think they're seeing a French channel, and then he goes into speaking, because people who are well traveled and
Yep.
stuff like that would be like, oh, he's just saying welcome boys and girls, but he says it just to basically cut people out of the audience that are not his audience, which is pretty cool. I want to ask you, what is a big mistake most brands are making on YouTube?
Not putting themselves in the shoes of their average viewer or who they want their viewer to be. And again, I see this a lot from, friends of mine. Like they create content. They just think like, I guess somebody at one point said, any content is good content. And that's not true. If you want to succeed on YouTube, you need to think of yourself as like, as enthusiastic and 10x that. On camera, it doesn't translate. So when we're recording stuff, we actually tell, our staff, like, whatever you think is like you being enthusiastic, do more. Like move your hands, yell, whatever you want to do, because video, tones it down. So 2 things you want to do. First, imagine that you want to get people's attention. And how would you do that? By being enthusiastic, by being charismatic. And second, tell them something that they might want to know. Like don't just, I have a buddy and I use mortgage a lot because, some of my friends are in mortgage. And he just, puts out these videos and he's like, hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about pre-qualification. I'm like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, this is not going to perform. Like, he won't take my advice. There are ways to package that up. Like, first thing you need to do is the same thing you need to do in all social video is come up with the hook. Like, what's the hook for that? If I'm talking about, mortgage pre-qualification, how am I going to hook a viewer? Well, I would think, okay, pre-qualification is something you need in order to buy a house. So maybe I would start the video with like, don't try to buy a house until you do this, like just something, like some way to capture people on YouTube and obviously on social as well. And then go into like, you're trying to buy a house, first step you need to do is obviously work with a realtor. In order to do that, you need to be pre-qualified. Like you have to like grab the viewer's hand and walk them through the process and do it in an entertaining manner. You can't just, it can't be boring. People don't watch anything that, puts them to bed. So you have to be super enthusiastic, super charismatic, and talk about, it could be any topic, but make it entertaining. Make it something that, people be like, okay, I'm going to watch this. So the first 5 seconds have to entice you to watch the next 5 seconds. And that keeps going on until the video's done.
Yeah, one of the best tips I've ever gotten for just content is write the hook before the content, because if the hook sucks, then the content's going to suck.
Yes.
So don't even write or do that video if you don't have a good hook for it.
I still can't get myself to do that. Like I plan out videos and I'm like, oh shit, what's the thumbnail? What's the title? How are we going to hook this? Because I think about the concept and then I'm like, okay, well, now we need to figure out how to hook it. For short form videos, we do that. So for short form videos, if you ever seen one of those images that has like, 50 hooks, like I can't live without this, so we use that a lot to inspire our short form content. Like, okay, let's fill the blanks with, something that matters for our industry.
Yeah, I mean, great marketers steal like an artist. So the best thing you could do with any content if you're starting is what you've been saying forever is TV show that's popular. How could you do it for your industry? Is there videos that people are doing with great hooks? How could you just do that for your industry? I do the same thing with memes. I just take whatever meme has
Yeah,
worked in another industry and just hook it for marketing, and
yep,
that's how it works. I don't reinvent the wheel all the time unless I see something that's funny and it comes to my head. But it's way easier to find something that has worked and then just do it for your industry.
absolutely. I mean, we have people here that their goal is to sell watches. They're salespeople. They want to get awareness. They want to get exposure. But one woman in particular, she does not want to be in front of the camera. Like, she's not comfortable being on camera. So our entire team spends their day coming up with memes, for her account, which have generated millions of views. And one of our best performing videos, one that, everybody in the office said, absolutely no, do not do it. Like, it's stupid. It's silly. It'll make us look dumb. I still went ahead and did it. And it is our best performing social, video, social piece of content on one of our channels. So first of all, you can't let too many cooks in the kitchen. Somebody needs to decide, are we doing this or are we not doing this? And then any trending meme, use it for your industry.
Last part of this, I want to just go do a rapid fire session, just quick questions about
Sure.
YouTube, and it's just quick answers for all of them. The first question I have for you is best length for a YouTube video.
YouTube will tell you it's about 10 minutes. I'm a bigger fan of longer, so I'm going with 20 minutes.
Scripted or unfiltered content?
Depends. If you have an expert speaking and they can talk off the top of their head, then unscripted, always better.
YouTube Shorts, worth it or overrated?
Worth it, 100% for growth of a channel, not for retention of viewers of long form videos.
What is a go-to piece of gear for filming?
A go-to piece of gear for filming, an iPhone.
One brand that's crushing on YouTube besides Gray Market and Luxury Bazaar?
One brand, I mean, they're not really brands, they're people. Like Iman Ghazi, like he's kind of like the stud guy. Like, he does extremely well. You know what? I use them. Dr. Squatch.
Yeah, it shows that people dominate when you can't think of a brand.
Yeah.
When you do.
Yeah.
One thing every YouTube creator should stop doing.
I don't know. I think everything that they're doing, is always a test. You have to test everything. You do it all. If it works, great, continue. If it doesn't, stop.
What's the best advice you've ever received about content creation?
I mean, I've said it a couple times. It's, imagine you're the viewer. How do you like this video? If you don't like this video, if you will not watch it, then don't make it.
And then the last question I have for you is, what is a marketing hill you would die on?
A marketing hill I would die on is you need to be omnipresent. You need to be everywhere. There isn't one channel, one medium that performs better. Written, video, audio, word of mouth, posters. We did a billboard in Times Square. I want our names to be everywhere, and I think that really, I know it's budget prohibitive, but whatever you can do within a budget, do it all. Whether it's a audio only podcast, a video podcast, a article, a blog, a newsletter, you want to do it all.
And lastly, where can people follow you or Luxury Bazaar or Gray Market? Obviously YouTube, but
YouTube, yeah.
else?
For YouTube, obviously, you have the Luxury Bazaar channel, which is more educational. You have the Roman Sharf channel, which is the entertainment side. Me personally, I'm on Instagram at avi.shankar. I don't really put out any content on, social for, anything other than just, stuff that's interesting to me. So I can't really say there's a reason to follow me, but definitely follow Luxury Bazaar, follow, Roman Sharf, watch the Gray Market channel, or find us on Instagram.
I think you should be in more YouTube videos so your kids could get more hyped up in public when people stop you in the streets.
You're not wrong. I started a podcast. Like I actually had a video podcast for Luxury Bazaar. And I kind of did first, it was almost like a behind, what was that show called? Where people would sit on a couch and watch an episode of something and like talk about it. I don't remember what it was called, but like I did sort of thing. Let's talk about this episode. What happened that wasn't on screen? What, how did you deal with that? And then I kind of lost, not the interest to do it, but I lost the inspiration to keep coming up with new ideas for it.
I think that's the hardest thing about podcasts, YouTube, all these things is if the idea wheel, you just got to keep, you got to keep on it. And the best way I've heard most people, I mean, you do the same, I do the same, is continue consuming a bunch of things, because that's where the best ideas come from usually.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. Like I imagine every week you have to come up with something that you think would be valuable to your viewers or listeners. And it's tough, especially if, you have other things going on. In your field, and I'm sure it's extremely difficult, but luckily there is constantly something going on that you can talk about. So I think you do a very good job at it. I mean, I listen to the podcast, I read the newsletter, I consume a lot of it, and I find it to be very valuable.
Well, thank you so much for joining, and appreciate the shout out. I didn't pay him for that, so if anybody's saying that, thank you so much, and
absolutely
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I mean, this has been a treat.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep tuning in to hear more great insights from the coolest marketers from around the world. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow the Marketing Millennials podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, I would greatly appreciate you giving us a 5-star rating. It helps bring more marketers into our community.